Celebrating 30 years of phenomenal trend forecasting, 5 times a week, Monday through Friday. Here's Gerald Celente with today's trends in the news.
Hi, this is Gerald Celente. It's Tuesday, October 13th, 2015. And here are some of today's trends in the news. Well, on the market front, it's a down day. That's right. From Shanghai to USA. Shanghai's up a little bit. You know why that market's up? The Chinese market? On the good news. China's trade slump extended into September. With imports collapsing. Dollar-denominated imports plunged by a worse than expected 20.4%. All right? They're not buying stuff. And the reason they're not buying stuff is they ain't making any stuff enough to export to bring in the dough so the people could buy more stuff because exports fell 3.7%. And when you look around the world and look at some of their trading partners, like Taiwan and South Korea, well, their exports to China are down around 14.5% and 8.5% respectively. So you can see this whole thing is tied together. Again, it's not about China. It's called a global slowdown. Singapore is about to enter a technical recession. Well, if it's only technical, it's okay. Let's see, what do they say here? Advanced estimates for the July-September quarter scheduled for release tomorrow are expected to show the economy growing at 1.3% on year, but they're looking for quarter-on-quarter basis to shrink 0.1%. Slowdown. So, even with the slowdown, we just heard from the former Dallas Federal Reserve President Richard Fisher, who said today, I love my colleagues. You know that. Oh, yeah, you got for yelling, huh? Hey, she's one of your colleagues. Mwah. I love the process of the FOMC. Well, it doesn't take a lot for this cat to love, huh? Whew. Hey, to each his own. What would Bruce Jenner love in a situation like this? But they have egg all over their face. Oh, you like it with their loving them with egg all over. Hey, everybody's into their own chip, Fisher. Who am I to criticize? Uncertainty is the enemy of decision making. He's calling for a rate increase. Uncertainty is the enemy of decision making. We know that as business people. Make a decision and act on it. So I looked up who this guy is and was on Wikipedia. Another guy born on third base and thought he hits a triple. A Harvard man, yeah. One of those guys. You look, business people, the cat's been only in the white shoe boy gang all his life. Not making anything, just doing them deals. Business people, oh yeah, you make a decision and you stick with it. Hey, what about wrong decisions? Hey, you're telling me as a business person? Hey, what am I telling? I'm telling a guy who loves the people on the FOMC. These guys shooting off their mouth. Again, the elites telling us what to do. In China, again, we just saw those numbers, so here you go. China tries to prod banks to lend. In the latest series of new easing tools, the People's Bank of China will let more commercial lenders use loans as collateral to borrow cheap funds from the central bank. It's called Ponzi scheme to keep it going. Again, I told how many times do I have to say this? It's an interest rate recovery. Zero interest rate policy keeps them mergers and acquisitions going fine. And a new one today, along with the stock buybacks. Because the rest of us get shafted with these low rates, we put money in the bank and get less back after we put it in, accounting for inflation. Dell's $63 billion swoop for Data Storage Group seals biggest technology deal in tech history. Deal making in the sector has reached the highest level since the dot-com bubble of the late 1990s. Well, actually, the market bubbled in March of 2000. And we forecasted, it's right there on our forecast page, right there in the Trends Journal. We said in October of 1999 that by the second quarter of 2000, the dot-com bubble would burst. A wider boom in merger and acquisitions also saw Anheuser-Busch InBev, the Brazilian-backed brewer, yesterday sweeten its offer for London-listed SAB Miller to $67 billion. That's right, $63 billion, $67 billion. That's a lot of billions, and it's only one day. So here you got it. You're looking at merger and acquisition activity. So far in 2015, it's nearly at $3.5 trillion. And of course, gold. That's about the only thing that went up. A little bit. All those metals keep going down. Copper, rest of them. And oil, again, took another big hit. What was it, up 10% last week? It's down already about 6% this week. So you can see this volatility. Slowdown hits Hong Kong luxury retail rents. Rents in the world's most expensive shopping streets have dropped by as much as 40% as the impact of China's slowing economy on Hong Kong's once booming luxury goods industry deepens. Annual sales, for example, of watches and jewelry, a key indicator of the wider luxury goods market, doubled in Hong Kong between 2010 and 2013. For the first 8 months of this year, sales are down by 14% year over year. And you can see what's going on. Africa hit by frontier debt backlash. Last week, Ghana accepted a 10.75% borrowing rate to raise $1 billion. However, lack of investor interest led the country to delay issuance, extending the maturity to 15 years and raise the coupon. It's one thing after another here. J.P. Morgan cited intervention as a reason for the decision to remove Nigeria from the emerging market bond index. Yields on the country's 2024 dollar-denominated bond have risen from 5.3% a year ago to just over 8% at the end of September, as expectations rise that the country faces an imminent credit rating downgrade. Remember, Ghana, Nigeria, Congo, all of these countries, resource rich, and now getting really poor as China buys less because they're selling less. The less China manufactures, the less raw materials they bring in. We can see where this is going. Raise interest rates, knock yourself out. It's not going to solve the problem. There is no problem solver in this. It's a debt bubble, the likes of which we've never seen in the history of the world, part one or part two, with record low interest rates. Matter of fact, over there in the UK, their interest rates are the lowest on record since they invented the thing back in the 1600s. And what else do we have here? Good news. U.S. weaponry is turning Syria into a proxy war with the enhanced insurgents' firepower and with Russia steadily raising the number of airstrikes against the government's opponents, the Syrian conflict is now edging closer to an all-out proxy war between the United States and Russia, because insurgent commanders say that since the Russians began their airstrikes in support of the Syrian government, they are receiving for the first time bountiful supplies of powerful American-made anti-tank missiles. Isn't that great? And of course, they're getting him through Saudi Arabia, as well as through covert CIA actions. But they're going to vetted insurgents. It says it right here. Vetted by who? The veterinarian that they call the department, the head of the Department of Defense, Ashol Carter? Vetted. They still put out this crap like you're supposed to believe it. I don't want my money going there. How about you? And speaking of liars, losers, frauds, and freaks, you know, Obama was on 60 Minutes the other day. And he was asked about the Syrian rebel boondoggle, that failed $500 million deal that they were going to put all these troops to go fight ISIS. Right? And what they got? A handful of guys, and the handful of guys gave away the weapons. So, here's what Obama said when asked about the debacle. Quote, "I've been skeptical from the get-go about the notion that we're going to effectively create this proxy army in Syria." Oh, yeah? Wait a minute. Hey, go back a week ago. Listen to what you said at the press conference. Oh, here, you listen.
The Training and Equip program was a specific initiative by the Defense Department to see if we could get some of that moderate opposition to focus attention on ISIL in the eastern portion of the country. And I'm the first one to acknowledge it has not worked the way it was supposed to, Julie. And I think that the Department of Defense would say the same thing. And part of the reason, frankly, is because when we tried to get them to just focus on ISIL, the response we'd get back is, how can we focus on ISIL when every single day we're having barrel bombs and attacks from the regime? And so it's been hard to get them to reprioritize looking east when they've got bombs coming at them from the west.
Now, in that 60-minute piece, he also said, "My goal has been to try to test the proposition, can we be able to train and equip a moderate opposition that's willing to fight ISIL?" But again, I've been skeptical from the get-go. And he said the reason he did it is to try different things because we also have partners on the ground that are invested and interested in seeing some sort of resolution to this problem. Well, he's either lying or not telling the truth. Because when you go back to that, what he said on October 2nd, the reason we failed, frankly, frankly, folks, is because when we tried to get them to focus on ISIL, these are the vetted people, you know, that they cost us $500 million. The response we'd get back is, how can we focus on ISIL with every single day we're having barrel bombs and attacks from the regime? And so it's been hard to get them to reprioritize looking east when they got bombs coming at them from the west. But you said you were skeptical from the beginning. Again, either lying or you're not telling the truth. You know what that barrel bombs? He used that barrel bomb story about 4 times in his press conference. How Assad is dropping barrel bombs on the people. Barrel bombs, yeah. A barrel of bullshit. This is Gerald Celente, and that's some of today's Trends in the News.